Thank you very much for this introduction, which I don't deserve. Before I become very serious this afternoon, let me share with you, after this bio and after praising me, let me share with you an incident happened to me at the airport of Los Angeles. I said it many times, since I became the Metropolitan 2.5 years ago. But you might laugh, but it has a very special wisdom with what I said. So one day, my flight was at 6:30 a.m. in Los Angeles. I was traveling to somewhere in the West. I didn't have my assistant with me. I didn't have my deacon with me or a priest so I had my crown carry on the plane. And when I was at the airport, the TSA man said to me, Sir, not as a title, but as just so he said to me, Sir, what's that in a round box? I said, this is my hat. It is my hat. He said to me, but it doesn't look like a hat. What's in it? I said, you open it and look at it. So he opened it, and my crown was, shining, and he said to me, wow. And he said to me, are these real stones, precious stones? I said, I wish. So I said something, maybe in order to let me go, through the security. He asked more questions. He said to me, only princes and kings are, with crowns. Although I had my icon, I had my collar, I had everything. He said to me, Sir, are you a prince? I said, higher. So more question. He said to me, if you're not a prince, you must be a king. Are you a king? I said, higher. So on, and the line behind me was forever. They had no idea why we're taking so long. So, and finally, he said to me when he had no further question to ask, he said to me, really, sir, who are you and what do you represent? So after we laughed, the wisdom is here. I said, I am a servant in the Antiochian Orthodox Church. This is me. This is my bio. Forget about, what you read there. This is my bio. I am a servant to Jesus Christ and to serve all those who believe in Jesus Christ and all those who are affiliated to us in history and in geography and everything. I mean Muslims and others. Beloved clergy, respected Her Excellency, the Minister of Tourism, and ladies and gentlemen. I gave my speech as a title for Peace for Tourism and Tourism for Peace. But before that, I would love to take this opportunity to thank my friend Ratib, Sir Ratib, and all his colleagues on the board of directors and those who organized this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful and meaningful gathering and conference. So the Holy Land Christian Ecumenical Foundation 18th International Conference. On behalf of my 300 parishes of the Antiochian Orthodox Archdiocese in North America, I thank you for your invitation to address the Holy Land Christian Ecumenical Foundation 18th International Conference. I am grateful to the Board of Directors of the Foundation for bestowing upon me this special award, which I accept on behalf of all Antiochian Orthodox Christians in North America who have and will continue to support their brethren in the Holy Land during these difficult times. The theme of this conference, Forging a New Bond of Solidarity for Equality, Prosperity, and Peace. And I am sure that in your discussions you addressed, and many of the distinguished scholars and academic speakers, they addressed all that. However, I, as a religious leader, would like to make this presentation based on spirituality. Because the moment I think of Palestine in general and the city of Jerusalem in particular, it comes into my mind to put politics aside and think of its spiritual impact on all of us. So there is a song by Fairuz, dear to all of us, لِأَجْلِكِ يَا مَدِينَةَ الصَّلَاةِ أُصَلِّ. You remember that? Okay. Jerusalem has a special place in my heart. Her suffering people are in my prayers, in our prayers, and I see part of my ministry as one of serving the Palestinian Christian community, wherever it may be. I serve them in London, England, and I serve them in Cyprus, and now I am serving them here in this country. I venture to say that, as our friend Saliba said, that I am Syrian by birth, Lebanese by education, American by citizenship, and Jerusalemite by devotion. The city of Jerusalem is the earthly font of Christianity, as well as the gathering place of the three monotheistic religions. From all over the world, faithful believers come together to make pilgrimage, worship, and pray in order to become spiritually uplifted. Christians make their pilgrimages to the Holy Land in order to imitate the ascension of Christ to the heavenly Jerusalem. Since Jerusalem is considered as a place of devotion and sanctity, those who make a pilgrimage to Jerusalem experience the locations of miraculous events that occurred in this holy place. According to us as Christians, the pilgrimage to Jerusalem celebrates the great Passover when our Lord Jesus Christ passed from death to life. The pilgrims dedicate themselves to remembering Christ who gave his life up for all humanity. They strive to ascend to the holy city where the Logos of God came and dwelt among us, so that they may live in peace. First and foremost, they are called to escape whatever enslaves them to attain the freedom of a new life. This award you bestowed upon me is not bestowed only upon me as the Archbishop, but upon our Archdiocese, which encompasses faithful believers from all cultures, nationalities, and races. The Antiochian Archdiocese incorporates clergy and laity who came originally from Lebanon, Syria, Palestine, Jordan, Iraq, and Egypt, as well as a large number of American converts of all different backgrounds who found their home in our Archdiocese and have adopted Eastern Orthodox spirituality. In spite of this diversity, all the 300 parishes in my Archdiocese worship, and minister in North America in concord and harmony. We don't fight over the culture. We don't fight over the language. The Archdiocese had made itself the means of combining all members together. This produced one wonderful result. Being their Archbishop, the Orthodox faith brought them together, doing away with all that estranged them. For more than a century, we began this Archdiocese in 1895. That is the written history. But before that, the migration from the old country happened way before that. But we don't have any documents before 1895. So for more than a century, the Antiochian Archdiocese has been ministering to the Palestinian communities in North America with open arms, embracing them with genuine love as beloved children of the Orthodox Church. Since all my congregations are great supporters of the Palestinian people, the Archdiocese did and will not hesitate to employ all means to defend them on all levels. The theme of this conference serves as a model of the pastoral transformation towards diaconal ministry for the living stones of Jerusalem, which is the Arabic-speaking Christians in the Middle East, who inspire us and remind us of the need to revive church ministry and outreach. By the providence of God, we are planted in this country, in this nation, to minister and take care of suffering brethren in the Holy Land with a spirit of love and faith. It is my hope that this conference and our continuing efforts will entice more and more churches and religious communities to become interested in diaconal ministry and transformation in order to make God's teachings and dispensation come true among the people of the Holy Land. Since the diaconal ministry is the most important purpose of the faith community in the church, it is our duty to implore God, the benefactor of our souls and bodies, to recompense the faithful believers of the Holy Land for all their sacrifices throughout history and to replenish their lives with every good thing for His glory. In his third book, St. Athanasius the Great, who became later the Patriarch of Alexandria, wrote, and I quote, "As children of God, we become merciful not by being made equal to God, nor becoming in nature and truth benefactors, but in order that what has occurred to us from God Himself by grace, these things we may impart to others without making distinctions, but largely towards all extending our kind ministry. For only in this way can we anyhow become imitators, and in no other, when we minister to others what comes from God." End of quote. For this reason, the people of faith, we imitators of God, must become active participants in the creation of a solid foundation for our brethren in the Holy Land, so that they may continue to have a life based upon faith, peace, justice, and harmony. How can we foster ministry to the remaining Christians in the Holy Land? In what way can we cooperate with the Christian churches and communities to bear witness to Christ in His home? In order to answer these questions, we have to review the challenges that are facing the Christian communities in the Holy Land. There has been a sequence of serious challenges to the historic presence of the Christian churches, whose presence can be traced back to the time of Christ and his apostles. Challenges to the Christian presence in the Holy Land, as well as in the Middle East, show that the Christian community is in a crisis. Its position is being eroded on several fronts with little human prospect of survival. The challenges, which are numerous, clearly show how the highly charged, complex, and dangerous situation can be solved with worldwide Christian involvement in the area. Here are some of the challenges that face their presence. First, the most multifaceted Christian problems in the Middle East crisis emerged in part from demographic changes. Demographically, the numbers of Christians have fallen to an unprecedented low level, which is believed to be the community's worst nightmare. Arabic-speaking Christians live as a minority in a non-Christian culture. There are also those people who aspire to earn those Christian features of the Middle East symbolized by the church. Second, Christians and non-Christians leave the Holy Land due to the poor economic conditions brought by the strenuous conditions in which they live. These conditions weaken the church's ability to maintain her presence in the Holy Land and to continue her ministries of pastoral care, education, welfare, and health. Many churches and non-profit organizations provide humanitarian and philanthropic services to refugees and those living in poverty. One such example of difficulties are the tax claims which put the services of the church at a great risk. The heads of Christian churches in Jerusalem are concerned over the taxation of church buildings and properties. Third, the scandals over the sale or long-term lease of church properties in the Holy Land. Many Arabic-speaking communities feel that the properties of their own churches have created a situation in which the fundamental interests of the Christian congregation in Jerusalem are being undermined, and their historic properties have been confiscated, sold, or leased against their wishes. If this trend continues, Christian communities will lose their land and their historic sites. Losing the land means losing their hope. Losing the historic sites means losing history and the original evidence of Christianity. In addition, there have been reported events of churches that have been vandalized, such as the Monastery of the Cross, a Baptist church in central Jerusalem, and various other churches, monasteries, and convents. 4, the denial of freedom of worship in the main religious sites. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre and other crucial religious sites are rendered off limits for Christians and non-Christians outside Jerusalem through a complex network of walls, checkpoints, and security apparatus. Since East Jerusalem has been cut from the rest of the territories, Christians have been required to obtain a special permission to even enter the city of Jerusalem. Christians are prevented from entering their churches, monasteries, and convents. 5, the lack of pastoral and humanitarian care in certain Christian communities The humanitarian ministry is not something we do occasionally to alleviate certain needs and suffering as they arise, but rather an integral part of a living Christian community's concern and pastoral care for every human being and for all those who come within range of its loving care. St. Paul, however, said, when sin increases, grace abounds more. God does not leave anyone destitute of his providence, but it helps him to overcome all challenges and atrocities. Jesus, our Lord, came to restore grace to every marginalized person. In fact, to give it increase, that where sin abounded, grace might more abound. Grace helps the oppressed to overcome the offense and gives a new life. Having received this grace, the Christians in the Holy Land have a saying, I quote, "We live in a land that has already experienced resurrection, so we always have hope," and of quote. Despite increasing restrictions on their communities and their freedom to worship, that hope lives among certain faithful members, preserving strong and robust while quietly bearing the yoke of subjugation. Yet, despite these obstacles, it is the grace of God that preserves the people through the ongoing presence of and continuing work by the churches and the ministry of all non-profit organizations such as yours that remain a sign of hope for a different type of resurrection that is yet to come. Ministry to Palestinian brethren is not an optional action, duty, or moral stance in relation to the needy, but an indispensable expression of our faith. Solidarity with the Palestinian people consists in assisting them to overcome their obstacles. It is by fulfilling our ministry to them that we usually minister to our Master and God, the Lord of all. In reviewing the details of our ministry to them, attention should be turned to developing specific areas of pastoral care. Our solidarity should focus on the following aspects: strengthening their identity, exploring culture and history, promoting leadership, development, and personality responsibility, fulfilling their needs, eradicating hunger, destitution, and sickness, involving more deeply the churches in developing programs for the community, assisting the Holy Land churches in their efforts in the field of macro-diaconia, and promoting better forms of communication with a view to the discovery of better and new forms of diaconia, promoting religious tourism to put people in contact with the Palestinian lifestyles. It is important to ensure that it can be carried out under the best possible conditions of freedom of movement and respect for human rights. Tourism to the Holy Land should be conducive to intercultural encounters and dialogue, and to nourish and strengthen their moral and socio-economic systems. In solidarity with the living stones of Jerusalem and in fraternal community with them, we pray that solidarity to be proclaimed with the Christians of the Holy Land. God bless America. God bless Palestine. And God bless all of you. I am asked to answer a few questions if you like. No, better.
I just want to thank the local St. Elias, Syracuse, New York, Nadim Jabaji. I don't know if you know him or not. He's part of the St. Ignatius Society.
I know the name.
He's been very active with a multi-church group in trying to raise up the Palestinians. Trying to raise up the Palestinians, and I'd ask you to maybe talk a little with Nadim and or communicate St. Elias. They are connecting. They're going to have a Palestinian Holy Land group, much like this one, bring crafts. If 300 of your churches reached out and got a hold of their congressperson and really joined with a couple of other churches in their community, I really feel the Palestinian cause could be elevated significantly. I think we have to come out of the shadows, because that's where we are, and we really have to come into the light. And so asking your congregations, much like Nadim and St. Elias, I think that would be a wonderful boost in a year from now.
What city?
Syracuse, New York.
Syracuse.
I can give you his contact information. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Your Eminence, I have few words to
Sir.
say, if you'll let me, because your speech was inspiring for us as Palestinian Christians. It is inspiring for us that we are the Arab Christians who became, I don't want to say minority because we are the original, but I'm saying our number is dwindling in the whole area, because as we are in the Holy Land, when we mention the Holy Land, it's not only Palestine, it's Syria, Lebanon, wherever the Holy Family were there. And thus we are in the same boat. We started as Palestinians, we have the refugees and we have the problems. Now the Syrians have the same problem. Same thing, you know, on behalf of our board too, as we have been working on helping the Syrians to refugees, and would like to assure you that we are together into this journey in order to help our Arab Christians in the area. And thank you for your inspiring words. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, the past 2 days, I was with you here Friday morning, and all of a sudden I disappeared from the room. Not showing like indifference toward what you are doing, but I had 4 meetings yesterday and Friday at the State Department, And believe me, on the table with the officials I met was the Palestinian issue, the Syrian issue, the Lebanese issue, and the Iraqi issue. So, you know, they talk about human rights, but they don't know anything about it. Believe or not, and with all humility, my being with my colleagues in that department, State Department, we went there. We know maybe they don't listen to us, because politics is something and all the wishes, and wishful thinking is something else. But at least we are educating them how to think, how to respect a human life, and how to respect the human rights. So we have to do it. Most of the, we don't have the right to be discouraged. Even if they shut the doors before us, we keep trying, we keep trying, we keep trying. The Palestinian community was and continue to try for over 60 years, and still lies and lies and lies and promises and promises and promises. Where is the plan for 2 states? What happened to it? How many presidents, of the United States promised, a state, 2 states, 2-state solution? Where is it? So your duty and my duty is to remind them and to keep reminding them until they listen.